We pick up a little before where we left off last time. Sosuke spotting Garn and the approaching forces, only to get ambushed by helicopters. Garn is now ready to make the move.
On which band?
Probably microwave.
Hunting for frequency. Please wait 1 minute.
Moron. Do it in 30 seconds.
What, that works? Your computer is Scotty padding out the estimate? Sosuke takes out the helicopters just as the computer finishes the rush job and gets on Sosuke's frequency, just so he can tell him to die before they start shooting at him. Zaid is going to be taken over.
How do you feel about torturing your old friend to death?
I don't feel anything. It's my duty.
Doesn't really sound like duty. Sounds more like just indulging the psychopath. Sosuke has the AI scramble their signal and update the others so they can keep the same communication protocols. This is complicated by Zaid unloading on him with a Gatling cannon, so the others just lose contact with him. Batiste has a view on that.
You said you fought in Eastern Europe. You must have witnessed this moment dozens of times. The moment when God calls someone's number.
Well, lucky thing his comms are down then. Sosuke's kicked up a small dust storm so that he can start taking out the enemy robots one by one with a knife. And also... we really lose more robots that way. Zaid tells them to quit screwing around. He's going to sync up data with them so they'll stop panicking and shooting each other. Give Sosuke time to track down where the red mech is at by the sound of its Gatling cannon. It's kind of distinctive.
1 minute, please.
No, do it in 30 seconds.
What is with this? Do the AIs all have union rules about mandatory break times? Sosuke thinks back to some of the lessons Zaid taught him, one of which was when a Gatling cannon was called for, and combined with the fact that the ambush of his ambush meant that the Red Mech's pilot knew the area, he's starting to have his suspicions. As for his own team, there's debate as to whether or not he's still alive, but Gray is still in command and she's not abandoning Sosuke. But that's when Garn shows up.
AI, execute trap!
Roger, executing.
We can't even spring a trap on this guy. He is so hacking the server. I can't help but think how this insta-kill really calls for an I told you so. While Gray goes in next, Sosuke's AI announces the stats behind their Gatling cannon, for all you Clancy fans out there, and mentions that there's a reserve magazine. Another thing Zaid used to tell him. There's no more doubt in his mind. This is his old friend who had survived. He tries to raise Zaid on the radio and fails, but is able to get through to his team finally. Grace briefs him on exactly how fucked they are right now, so he breaks off to face Garn personally. 2 more and he gets a free ice cream. Only Zaid isn't going to let him go so easily. He'll even mow down some of their own forces if that's what it takes. In fact, he might be doing it just because. It's kind of hard to tell.
Someone steals merchandise from a businessman. He gets angry.
I'm picturing the head of Netflix stroking a cat while talking to someone who downloaded Stranger Things off the web. Garn does what would normally be disemboweling on a person to Jackson's robot. All that bluster and bravado, and he meets the end with surprised Pikachu face. Gray intervenes, sparing him from the undignified and yet utterly predictable end Jackson faced. To compound it, he's then pulled from his chair by Batiste, who's taken over. Yeah, we're bringing the dying guy in to replace you. You're that lousy a ball player, Jackson. Meanwhile, we see why Zaid changed sides. He was tired of being on the side that was destined to lose. As for Batiste, he's still waxing on about the things God does and how God regrets creating humans because they're idiots, which, based upon this squad, I'm not finding an effective counter-argument. He initiates self-destruct. It's a little bit involved, but you know what? It probably should be. Blowing up a $500 million robot should really require a few click-through boxes, maybe marking which pictures have traffic lights. This ends predictably, though. With the 2-point conversion, Garn smashes the truck, killing Jackson, who was driving it. With him down, Sosuke finally just turns back to Zaid for the inevitable showdown. As for Gray, yeah, she's screwed. Sosuke knows she'll be dead before he reaches her anyway. When he hears her go down, he loses it, pulls his gigantic knife, and stabs Zaid right through his mech. And he comes out ready to flat-out murder Garn this time, just murder him right in the face. Sosuke switches on a Lambda driver, and it's face-to-face smackdown. In the end, Sosuke is the only mech left standing. Oh, look who's returned to the field. Luckily for Sosuke, while Zaid still has a few rounds in his Gatling cannon, he's all out of blood in his veins, and it just fires off uselessly into the sky. And of course, what goes up must come down, so somebody somewhere is about to have a very bad day. Sosuke gets the nuclear warhead as the last one standing, and in the coda, Kaname is waiting outside the door to his apartment for him with his gift, a dolphin.
Why don't you say something, Sosuke?
No problem.
All hail the Overlord! All hail the Overlord!
Who's the freaking hatch, you piece of shit?